Hello. Let's see who we've got here tonight. All on the ball, very quick, very good. Aye, tis. What's the crack? Not knocking the house down. Not yet. What's the story? And the Carol's here as well. Good evening, Enda. So, Reese, White Sapphire, and Enda. Let's see who else we get. Well, you never know. I'm going to have to give you a slap. Not one of you has hit the old thumbs up icon yet. Ray Bourne's here as well. No sign of underscore yet. Pat Bourne's there. Good evening, Pat. Let's see who else we've got. Andy was on. Good man, Andy. Is he just finished now? He usually does be finished around this time, alright. I'm looking up there, but I don't know why, because my clock is here. The battery went flat in it the other day. There's a little job I could do. Where's the big spanner, man? I don't know. I haven't been in touch with him, so I'm not sure. We haven't seen him in a while. He could be on holidays, of course. Or working. Who knows? Who knows? Hopefully he's alright anyway, wherever he is. I'm sure he is. Due to the price of alkaline batteries, skyrocketing in the last while, almost doubling in price in the Poundland, I've decided to go down the zinc carbon option, which is working out for me actually. Colourist is here as well, all the way from London. Good evening, sir. Here we are, back in action. There we go. Clock back in action. Oh. Now, there we go. So, who have we got here in the chat? We have a few of you there as well. I take it I'm getting out loud and clear. Underscore is there with his other half. I take it, both of us. So we'll say that's the other half as well. It's very warm in here. It's, what is it? 26.5 degrees here. The old shed has held its heat today from earlier on. It was quite warm, but I think I'll go and open the door. 14 watching with 5 thumbs up. We know that's not good, lads. Come on, you can do better than that. Everyone's here stalking Ray. That's actually why I'm coming on live here, you know. So to give people a way of stalking poor old Rayo. The heat here is unreal. I'm gonna go and open that door. Not to say that, well, it was quite warm earlier on, but then it started raining. So it's not simple. So what's going on in everyone else's world here? White Sapphire says she thinks she heard that Irish station again last night. Very good. I'd love to get a frequency off you for that. Interesting to know. Don't mind me. Just setting up the computer here. Setting up the phone so I can monitor my output just to make sure I am getting out. White Sapphire says she needs to get herself an R600. Wouldn't be a bad idea. They are a handy little radio. Something going on here. There we go. Now, sorry about that. We're back in action. Now, let me go through the They use me as bait to get you on. Yeah, they all send me emails. Yeah, White Sapphire, if you get that frequency, you'd be interested to know. You need to get an R600. There are other flavors, though, with digital readouts, which I'm sure someone will come up with. If you want to get a simple little radio, I would recommend getting an XH Data D808. Simple, battery powered, has the facility to plug in an external area. And in some respects, could be better than the R600. It'll give you access to airband and FM. What sort of price are we looking at? For the R600 or for the XH Data D808? XH Data D08 is going for around, they've gone up in price a bit, but certainly underneath the £100 mark, well underneath the £100 mark. Kenwood R600, it depends on the day. Look up completed eBay listings for an idea, but anywhere between 70 quid to, I think one or two of them have gone for mad money. But yeah, the XH Data D808 would be a recommendation, or the other little radio that I use is the Texan, the little what's it called? PL330. Excellent little radio. Matt Graham is here as well. He calls me a hero and a legend. Jesus, it doesn't take much to be a hero or a legend these days. Reese tells me he spent the afternoon looking at a tiny 5-volt switch mode power supply. Feedback winding on the transformer had burned out. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see, who have we got in the chat? Chat participants at the moment are Colorist, Mac, Graham, Rayburn, Reese, and White Sapphire. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, please, if you can. $19 watching and 19 thumbs up. Doo, doo, doo. Yeah. We said try taking it to bits, but no joy. Anything but the transformer or the little main, and it would have probably been repairable. Just my luck. Yeah, that's how it goes. Massey fan spent the evening getting a Villiers Mark 20 running. I have a Villiers Mark 7 here myself on our ransoms. Something or other lawnmower, which needs a bit of work, but it does go. Tiny little carburetor. Amazing. Something I have to have a look at for a neighbour of mine is a little international harvester. One of the little mowers. Again, it won't start. I think he had the magneto done on it. I think the timing is wrong. Button pushers. Good woman, white sapphire. You tell him. To our friend Matt Grimm in Germany, if you have your television set at hand, can you take a picture of the back of it? I have one here, but I'm going to have to move an awful lot of stuff to get in at it. A couple of the lads in the UK Vintage Radio Forum are looking for pictures of the inside of it. Reese says, reminds me of sat repairing lawnmowers with my dad. Yeah, I used to collect vintage lawnmowers, actually. There's something about people collecting shit, isn't there? But yeah, I used to enjoy lawnmower repair. Good evening, Audio Al. How are you keeping? I hope you're keeping well. We're sitting here talking nonsense. But sure, I'm going to put half an hour in talking nonsense. Because if I'm talking nonsense, I'm not cleaning my shed. Sparky later. Yeah. So I'm going to have to go over and have a look at that. It's some evening for them. You can't get it to start anyway. And everyone's tried it. You also had a 12-volt battery on it, which I don't like the sound of. You might have burned out the starter motor. Although it has a handle so I can swing her if I have to. Reese asked me, am I not having a drink tonight? Funny enough, I don't drink that often now. But as a matter of fact, I am so. You see, I took it in there. Reese was 34 yesterday. Had a bottle of that limoncello. Ooh. Good man yourself. Whereabouts are you from, Reese? I remember I think you told us before where you're from. Just curious. I think you're in the UK anyway. Yeah, I will look for the pictures already taken. Oh, good man. So you had the back off and you took a few pictures of the inside. That's great. It'll save me having to do it because it's in there somewhere. And I know I'm going to have to move half the shed. Now, I have to sort out the shed this week anyway. Well, besides working outside, because I have to paint it and I have to paint a few other things. But Scarborough. Ah, very good. So you're going to get to your one before I get to mine. Possibly. Yeah, we like to keep Dazzle Vision happy if we can. Daz is a top man. Reese says he came across my channel looking at repair videos of old TVs. That's interesting, alright. I believe a lot of people have actually found me through looking at either Michael Dranfield or Shango, which is good to know that there's recommendations going out there. Absolutely. Oh, good man, Matt. Yeah, well, it's not a big deal. This is 4 screws holding the back on. If the timing is wrong, I wouldn't use the starting handle, as it can give you a right. Oh, I know all that. Don't worry. I'll be safe enough. And to be fair, with an engine the size of that, I think you'd probably bend the handle before you do your arm in. There's a lorry I've done work on in the past, and it's from 1927. It's an Albion LC24, and it has a 4.5 litre engine, and that's a bastard to sway. And it doesn't have an electric. It doesn't have a starter motor on it. A lot of knobs to twist on the back. Yeah, there will be alright. Well, let's see, how many knobs will be on that now? There will be 7. There's at least 4 anyway. There's 405 line hold, 625 line hold, frame hold, and contrast for a start. So there's at least 4. I think there might be a tone control on the back as well. Oh, and a white spotter. That'd be 6, wouldn't it? Ray says, I saw the one where you found a shorted electrolytic. I like how you troubleshooted it. I like the thought process during fault finding. I find it interesting. Thanks very much. Yeah, I wonder what that was on. That could very well have been the little German television, little black and white Normandy. I seem to remember that one of them that had a shorted cap in it. Mendip Mark's pretty good, yeah. I've seen him. Absolutely. We've got 15 thumbs up with 21 viewers. Short electrolytics are not as common as open circuit ones, but certainly they happen. And there's something to be aware of. There's various ways of going around finding shorts. One of them is to have a high resolution multimeter and current limited bench power supply, and you can use that to find the short, because the voltage, you get a really low voltage reading, like 0.0012 of a volt or say whatever, and as you move closer to where the short is, the voltage will drop lower until it's 0, and that's how one way of finding it. When something is hard, when you've got a short that you can't find, because there's all sorts of different things coming off that rail. That's one way of doing it. Oh yeah, I think they're listening to you, White Sapphire. Or take your thumb off, yeah. You people have lost thumbs. Oh, and on an Xbox power supply, I found one as well. Oh yeah, well, there's a stronger chance of finding switch mode power supplies are under a lot more stress. The components, especially the capacitors. So they either go open circuit and high ESR, or they go short. More often than not, they go high ESR and low value. But shorted caps are not unknown for sure. Then you can't give a thumbs up. No, if the handle comes back and whips the thumb off, you're going to be in trouble. Matt Grimm says, I myself am a retro console collector, so the radio and TV malarkey is very new to me. Very good. I don't think there's any medium wave stations left in Germany, is there? Be interesting to know what the state of play is there. Reese says he got something he'd never seen before the other day in a plasma TV, a switch mount, surface mount device diode that was reading as a diode both ways, but like different diode readings. It's gone leaky, so it's not giving it. Yeah, stuff's gone leaky. There it's a Zener, but it shouldn't. So I'd imagine that telly wasn't a Teleton by any chance. The one with the shorted cap. Little component tester just said it was a normal diode. The component testers are okay to a point, but they can get confused. 600 volt diode. Oh, well, then it's just gone leaky. Yeah. Event rate. Oh, hold on. Whoa. This is going way too quick for me. What the hell happened there? Oh. No, the shorted cap plasma was Panasonic. Windows 95 was late. It's hard to be on time and you don't know I'm going to come on, though, wouldn't it? Fair. No, it's not simple. I'm just having a look for my Bush TV 105 or that's not it. That's a single standard set that's there. Wonder what it is then. That's something else. I think that's a 105DX that's in there. Maybe it's out in the container. Might not be in here at all. I must have a better look tomorrow. I think that set might actually be out in the container. There you go. I know I have one anyway. Let me have a squint here and see what's going on. Or a 105D. Sorry, I said R. No, it is a 105D. The 105DX is 625 line only, which I have. I'm not sure. There's all different. It's hard to keep up with all them prefixes. Some of the prefixes mean nothing, and then some of them could be like a completely different chassis. Hello, Windows 95. Yeah, take that off there. And that's Bro Banham says, I managed to join on time for once. I joined your last live stream just as you were saying goodbye. And good man, you got in just in time, so yeah. So who have we got in the chat now? Eliza John. Good man, John Joe. How's things? Things are not too bad. Participants are Brum Adam, Eliza John, Mac Grim, Resem, White Sapphire, and Windows 95. A nice quiet Thursday evening. We're doing well. So, coming up this winter, should I get my shit together, which I should do, we have some incredibly interesting projects in the pipe. We've got some very nice televisions to work on. One incredibly rare television. I can't say it's one of a kind, but it's not. But it's certainly a rare survivor and a very important part of British, indeed, those television development. Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff coming down the pipe if we can get the time. Because we need to start getting into some hardcore videos again and getting stuff knocked out. Looking forward to this TV stuff, says Reese. Yeah, no, we should have some interesting gear coming up. Has anyone here ever watched Cool Dude Clem's videos? Just wondering if there's anyone that's heard of him. Windows 95 wants to know. I'm wondering if you have ever heard of a Goodman's GTV 14 T4 DVD CRT TV DVD combo. I haven't heard of one of those, but I know the style of television you refer to. What do you guys make of that new repairing program on TV? Reese inquires. Some people love it, some people hate it. Hard to know. I've seen a bit of it, didn't watch any more of it. I'm neither endorsing it or knocking it though. Just haven't had the time. Like says, my parents got us our first colour TV way back in 77 from RTV rentals when we only had one channel, RTE1. Good man, Richard 100. Welcome aboard. Thanks very much, by the way. Any little donations like that are a great help to the channel, by the way. Absolutely wonderful help. So thank you. That's appreciated. Ooh. And welcome aboard into the chat. RTV rentals, that would have been a GA, Philips GA. Philips GA. They were expensive, all right. Dang it, only just showed me you were live. That's all right. We're not on too long, Chipmunk. Welcome aboard, Chipmunk. Always good to have you in the chat too. Long time no see. Great stuff. Reese says he picks up any CRTV he sees when he's driving around. Would be like gold dust sound. They could be. I don't know. It's interesting. Funny enough, I tried to get rid of CRTVs recently and no one's interested, so it's hard to know. The problem is they take up so much space. Now, of course, I'm into the older stuff, but 90s and 90 sets, even 80 sets, people aren't interested in at the minute. Here, maybe it's different where you are in the UK. I think the problem with Matt Grimm has said it. Retro gaming is all about the PVM. No one wants a normal CRT. They've all been brainwashed into thinking that the only CRT television you can use. Good man, Chipmunk. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you, sir. Thank you. Any small donations always go a long way here. They really do. Very, very kind of you. Thanks. We'll keep her going for a while tonight, I think. I don't have to get up too early in the morning. Anyway, it's to rain all day tomorrow, which kind of upsets my plans for painting sheds and containers and things. I managed to paint the roof of the container today. Something that people overlook who own shipping containers, because the roof gets rusty and then the water gets in, so you have to paint them now and again. Windows 95 says his 2 CRT TVs have dying capacitors he has to replace. Do you have an ESR meter, Windows 95? If not, check out my video where you can make your own ESR meter to check your capacitors. John Joe's advice to people who are changing capacitors and shit. I don't know your competency level Windows 95, but you know, to anyone who's a bit new to this, I would say change one cap at a time and power up each time you change a cap. So if you made a mistake and the telly doesn't work for whatever reason, you know that it's only the last thing that you're after doing that's gone wrong. I wonder if that very unusual TV that you talked about might have a small display tube. It doesn't actually. I know the one that you're referring to, but no, this one has a 25-inch round color CRT. As I work for a bit, when I whack the chip, now when I compress the chip, I can hear a whining noise and some of the voltages change. Ooh. The PVMs are amazing, but too expensive. They are. There was a time we were putting skip loads of them in the bin. You know, they were just no one wanted them, and now all of a sudden everyone's. But I get the same effect with, in my honest opinion, with a good Sanyo 40. Look, that's it. You don't need. Underscore says PVM hole. Barcode monitors for gaming. I guess that's gamer logic. Maybe. Well, you see, it's just a trend that's set off a couple of years ago when everyone thought Trinitron. But, you know, it's unnecessary. I had to Google why they call it that, because there's so much going on in them, apparently. Underscore says gamers must be related to audiophiles, so well, they could be cousins, I don't know. Because, you know, some of the Trinitrons weren't that great. I don't know. It's a strange one. Rather enjoyable. I have an old BT multimeter thing that Odnodge was talking about. One of these. Reese says the couple of CRTs I've sold went to retro gamers. A couple of years ago, I had, what did I have? I had 5. I come into a job lot of 5 14-inch Trinitrons. Don't ask me the model number, I can't remember, but they were late 90s sets. 4 to 3. Very, very tidy, very nice. and I took them off a fella as part payment for a job I did for him. And I managed to sell them over the space of about 6 months. But lately I've tried selling a couple of CRTs, various ones, not those Sony, other ones as well, and no one's interested here. So maybe things have changed in Ireland, or maybe some of the retro gamers are moving on to something else, I don't know. Or maybe they're just after these PVMs or whatever. They say that, yeah, but I had a couple of Trinitrons up recently and couldn't get rid of them. So it's interesting. Meter multi-range 12C, that's him. Lovely little meter too, actually. Very handy. I have a couple of those. Another one here, I think. Yeah, another one hiding in there, look. I never use it. I never even think of it there. And he's in his little box and all. The Chipmunk has loads of BT test gear. I'm sure of more than that one as well. Must have more than two of them, have we? I'd have to go looking. Oh, two anyway. All going to be bloody useless soon due to the death of copper. Yeah. Well, useless for working on phones. Phone lines. Yeah, handy enough here. I mean, they're comparable to the Avo 8 in the sense that they're 20,000 ohms per volt sensitivity. And yeah, they're as good as anything. Your old BT phones don't work either. I think there's a way around them, isn't there, though? Isn't there some sort of doofer you can get that means old phones will still work on fibre? A thing that goes in between. Are they getting rid of copper lines? Yeah, well, there's no copper coming into my house. No, it's a little fibre lead that comes in through the door, and then it goes into a little box and gets converted into whatever. Funny enough, for the crack, when we first got it, I have a landline number. I don't know what the landline number is because I've never used it. No interest in it. They just insisted on giving us a phone number when we got the broadband in. And I plugged a couple of rotary phones. Don't ask me model numbers and stuff. I'm not really into phones, but I have a few floating around. All this other crap. Plugged one of them into the router box anyway, and I was able to ring out with it. It actually pulse dial tone and was catered for in the little router box, which I thought was very interesting. I could ring out, but it didn't have enough oomph to ring the bell in the phone. But I could actually make a phone call with it. The BBC have shut down SD. Shows you how long I watched that over there. Remember Channel 5 starting like it was last week? Yeah. I think that was the last big thing to rock what was left of the TV trade, having to go around and tune in all those televisions. I think there was a problem with interference from VCRs as well and stuff. I was just looking through a couple of issues of Television magazine from near the end, in the early 90s, and it's interesting reading, Especially lads trying to sell TV shops in the back pages. Shop £20,000 a year turnover for sale for £6,000. Friendly landlord, and you're like, yeah. I wonder did you ever sell that place? They had a transmitter on 40 power stations chimney. They didn't want a chocolate. I think they demolished the chimney over a year ago. Underscore, I just received an XDDR dial telephone from 87. One of the pins is live to the microphone handset down. Must the like Stasi. Oh, there. Reese says he finds it genuinely sad how it all died away. Yep, it sure is. All that is gone. There is one or two TV repair shops left, but you know, if there was if there was 10 TV repair shops left in the whole of Ireland and the United Kingdom, I'd be surprised. We know Mr. Dranfield is still at it, of course. And there's a TV repair shop up in Scotland near. What is the name of the place? I can't remember now, but I drove past it. But I think they were in their dying days as well. There's still one in Clondalkin. That's interesting. What's the name of it? Reese says, Reese doesn't have a shop, but he's keeping the TV repair game alive. Good man. Well, I mean, it was there in Clondalkin when I lived there 10 years ago. Well, could be gone now. I mean, our TV shop, the one that I worked in with John's shop, I mean, that was still going 10 years ago. And now he's dead and all. So, there's a TV repair shop in Fareham, southern UK. Go into it and have a chat with them. They do a lot of IT stuff, but the guy will still repair TVs. That's interesting. I'd say you are, Reese. I'd say you're the only person here you doing it. GMTV1, Casa Crescent. GMTV1, Casa Crescent, Monastery Road, Clondalkin, Dublin 22. You put in a new isolation transformer for them. Windows 95 says still repair TVs. Often these flat screens only have broken backlights. That's quite correct. Yeah, people still throw them out. Yeah, but the problem is they're so cheap. You know, you can get a good TV now for a day's wages. So if you can get a good TV for a day's wages, how does the man who's repaired the TV economically? It's cheaper. It is actually cheaper to throw it out than get it repaired. There's also Jim Brown showing, when I search, Jim Brown TV and video and satellite with Wilford Road, County Dublin. Interesting. 80% backlights, yeah. Yeah, the problem is splitting them. And we see in the trouble that Michael Dranfield had with one of the latest ones that he tried to split. He did manage it, but yeah, David is still in business, alright. I don't know how many sets he takes in for a pair now, though. Not too many of them. I think he's more doing vintage stuff these days. Yeah, I have a big Sony, I have a 50-inch Sony in the container that I need to bring in and put backlights in, which I've said before. I'll do it some evening soon. But I'm not looking forward to doing it, I must admit. It's not simple. Google would have told the original owner what was wrong, yeah? This is the way it's all gone. Right, I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, I is back. Need to catch up on this. Yeah, let's see, where are we? Richie Height is here. He tells me he lives in Clondalkin. Let's see. Was 99 for GMTV pulled down the shutters a couple of years ago. Just Google it there. It says permanently closed. I remember the owner was a nice chap, generous with advice. Interesting. And nice to have you aboard. Richie. lovely stuff. Chipmunk, yeah. The whole thing has changed, you know. It's just, as I said, I was looking through a couple of magazines, and I was looking at the ads and all the different companies, and I sort of wonder, you know, where have all those companies gone? One called Teletext, who were advertising a pattern generator, or actually they're still going, but they do studio equipment now. So it's nice to know one of those is still going. Whatever about the rest of them, it'll be interesting to Google them and see where they are. Richard says we need some test card F music. I don't have any test card music. I found when I did play test card music off YouTube that they started giving me copyright strikes. Back then, it was enough to make sure I wasn't a waster, but cheap enough that a teenager could afford it. Yeah, 50 pence. Pages from CFAX, yeah. Do you remember the rundown looking shop, which I never saw open? Any X-Vision Hunter guys on here? I'd say you could be the only one now. There's only 27 people in here. It'd be interesting to know exactly how many TV repair shops are open now. I'd love to get talking to a few of those guys. Definitely be interesting, alright. Ian Deacon. Richard says you can get live teletext pages on YouTube. That's interesting. I don't know if it's still the case, but I believe so. That RTE still have a teletext service on their channels. If you go looking with your Freeview box and a suitably equipped television, there's still teletext there. Teletext was great, out crack. I remember being so excited when I got our first TV with teletext on it, 96 or 7. Unreal. Windows 95 uses teletext on RTA. Now, I have, from the 70s, one of the Lab Gear set-top boxes for teletext. And I'm wondering, would they talk with the RF out of a Skybox on RTA? Audio Wal says Dab might be making a comeback. Wasn't a fan of Dab. Wasn't sorry to see Dab gone. And had hoped that the money saved from getting rid of Dab would have kept Longwave on the air a bit longer, but all that money went into someone else's pocket. They're all there. And it wasn't just him, though. I wouldn't vilify that man. But sad out of business, the whole thing. And then they went and blew up the mast. Yeah, they're not nice people, are they? I read something years ago about them utilising the broadcasting frequency that old terrestrial TV used for. Well, it's band 3. Band 3, so it's around 220 megahertz or so, is where DAB lives. Don't know about getting round corners. Coverage was pretty poor here. DAB on band 1 might have been a goer. The only thing is interference from faraway places during tropospheric and sporadic E season. I was in France and DAB would cut out constantly, but FM was getting a decent signal. Yeah, I suppose the other thing they could do, if they did away with FM completely, band 2 would probably be a good option for DAB. Can't even get solar or anything in my town now. I have to get everything online. Everything has changed. Yeah, very true. No, you haven't missed much white sapphire, to be fair. Gary Broadbent, good evening, sir. Oh, if Gary Broadbent put a link in the chat, he probably wasn't let because we have links disabled due to spam. So what can I do to... do you want to try that again, Gary? If that's a link, tell me if that's a link and we'll do something for you. Yeah, even when you go into shops, there's nothing on the shelves anyway. I can post it in it. I can't see the link either now. It's YouTube that block it. But what I will do is, if Gary wants to put a link, we'll wait for Gary to respond. If Gary wants to put a link, I'll just make him a moderator for a minute, and then he can put a link. There was a shop called Arrows Models and Toys, and that was the last place that sold solder. Went a few years ago. No, I can't see the link either. I see what you see in the chat. The chat that you see, well, I'm not looking on a computer screen, is on the right hand side. That's exactly what I see. So it doesn't matter what way I click in or out. I don't see anything. If I have it set that links don't come up, links don't come up. Yeah, for everyone, including myself. No, you didn't see that someone posted a link. It looked like Gary was going to post a link. Or perhaps he did post a link, but didn't show the actual link. Anyway, doesn't matter. Take it easy on Windows 95. So I see a bit more. No, I don't see anything a bit more. Gary Bobbin, if this is the guy's YouTube channel, if it works. Ah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. That'll work. Take it easy. Windows 95 has left the chat. 30 people watching with 29 thumbs up and all that jazz. Looking good. Still getting out, which is very good. Reese says, kind of feels like we're being forced out of the game. If it's got a plug on it, I'll still try to fix it no matter what. I think maybe you need to change your approach. So change the game. Focus on vintage stuff. All these retro gamer loans are going to run into trouble with their sets at some stage. Maybe that will be an angle. He has kit to extract current news from the BBC website and transmit it to YouTube, exactly as it looked back in the day. He even has authentic music. That's interesting, yeah. Everyone keeps telling me to switch to doing smartphones, but I just can't stand doing them. Yeah, well, I don't know how it's. I used to change screens and phones and that, say, 7, 8 years ago when you still could. When you hopped the back off and there was little screws and stuff, but I wouldn't even know where to start now. You need a hot plate as a minimum, and I don't know. It's not simple. I have a Samsung S21 Ultra Plus or whatever it's called, and I dropped a tin of beans on it this time last year. Tin of beans fell out of the press and smashed the screen into shit. That was fair enough. I didn't even bother looking to try and open it. Just brought it to the man and he fixed it, and he did a nice job on it. But 8 or 9 years ago, I would have fixed it myself. Would have bought a screen and done it. But it's just not too simple now. It appears that quite a few people are stopping payment of their TV licence in Ireland after the RTE nastiness. That appears to be the case, alright. Hot air nowadays to get the back off, something you have to remove glued in lithium batteries to get the screen off. It sounds about right. I gave it the beans. I did, massive fan, yeah. New. How safe is all that? Not specialist equipment, but definitely very hard. Not simple, and not a guaranteed result either. So, not something I'd be interested in getting involved with now. No. That's the way it's going. I don't know where it'll be in another 10 years. I certainly think, even if they are making televisions in another 10 years, which I doubt, they won't be making televisions as we know them. They'll be just displaying devices like giant computer monitors, which is more or less what they are now anyway. But I don't think you'd be able to split them open. I think that day is coming to an end. They'll be fully sealed. Richard says, the first time I used a hot air soldering gun, I blew half the components off the board. I've done a small amount of hot air work. And when I say a small amount, I mean a small amount. We had a hot air gun here at one stage. It's not bad when you get the hang of it. Probably be like a debit card 10 in 10 years with an external power brick. Yeah, most likely that's how they'll go. From Madamas, are there any websites with pictures or details of vintage RTE equipment, amplifier speakers? Is there? I couldn't find much on the net, and remember that it has all been scrapped. No, there's very little. Very, very little left of any RTE stuff at all. I've never come across much of it. I've probably got more BBC. There's probably more access here to BBC stuff than there is to RTE stuff. There's very little. Anything they had was smashed up. They weren't inclined to share. I don't think there was many people too interested in there either. So no, there's. I don't think to go to the effort to take pictures and that back then even. No, no. I know someone did send me a couple of pictures of inside one of the transmitting sites. Those pictures are probably long gone now, but in an email years and years ago. But there's very little, very little. Rob's radio channel is here as well. Good evening, Rob. And Kev B is here. Good evening, Kevy B. I was using your voltage reference there earlier on. Thank you very much. I think of you every time I pick it up. I should show people. What a handy gentleman you are, making things. I had a little voltage reference board here above from AliExpress, and I had it in a little blue box. And Kev B kindly said that he would give me an accurate voltage reading of it. And not only did he do that when I gave it to him, he also put it into this very nice. Oh, sorry, hold on to the light instead of the camera. Very, very, very nice box. Light no, and I'm very grateful to him doing that. And it's very useful to have a voltage reference that you can trust. So thank you very much, Kevy B. RT used to dump all the equipment in a skip in Donnybrook. I well believe it. Anyone ever liberate any of it? I'm sure they did. I'm sure the amateur radio lads had a go at it, all right. I don't know, but Audio Al would probably know more about this than I would ever. Well, I know we would. But I imagine they would have probably followed BBC practice with a lot of stuff. I don't think they would have been too far removed with regard to equipment. Everyone 70 is in the chat too. Boom. Good and bad day today. Funeral followed by a decent hi-fi haul. You can get strange days like them, Kev. Definitely. Condolences, but congratulations as well, I suppose. Life is strange. I can remember driving to a funeral in Wexford a few years ago, and just the house next to the graveyard had a television in the skip. So I don't know what sort of a day that was. Days you can get strange days, definitely. I suppose one of the things we could talk about, which I often mention, is where does all this stuff going to end up? And we keep talking about this, or I keep bringing it up, but the amount of like pre-war radios and all that are coming up on the forums, where lads are popping their clogs and leaving an awful lot of stuff behind them. I think the arse is falling out of the whole radio thing. Seeing a lot of people on the forums and that talking about scrapping radios now, which is sad, but you know. Audio Wall says mixers, turntables, etc. all dumped in the skip. Oh yeah, I'd well believe it. I'd say if anyone was caught taking that now the skip, it would have been war. I know. I was in another semi-state organisation, which was CIE, and the stuff that went into skips and CIE was unbelievable. But you daren't take a thing out of them. Unreal. So sad. Unbelievable. Um, Unbelievable what people threw out, Harley. She didn't care. It wasn't theirs and had no interest. Anyway, Martin Cochran says in southwest Scotland on DAB we can get BBC Asian Network, but we can't get BBC Scotland. There are more Scottish people in this region than Asian folk. Yeah, probably stands to reason. Things are not going well. Well, Massey fan, one thing I would always say is act now and apologise later. Not that rings true for a lot of things in life. I've learned not to be too concerned about certain actions. You know? This started my hoarding behaviour, yeah, well, you know. Oh dear, Kev B, that doesn't sound great. Doesn't sound great at all. Nope. Wrong light. With this Russian clock, and every time that I stand on the ground beside it, it starts up. Proper bit of class, that isn't it? Need to find a pendulum for it. It's there somewhere. I got a key for it the other day, so I should be pressing him into service and regulating him soon. I'm sure there's a few clock people here too. There's another section. Surely Chipmunk has been here for the tours of the various sections. The shed is bigger, but it looks an awful lot bigger on the camera than it is in real life. It's actually quite small. Well, it's 10 foot by 20 foot, or thereabouts. But it's only about 5 foot high, which at the walls, which is an issue. All right, Chipmunk. Best of luck with that. DJ Nilo says nice cassette deck. Yeah, I think that's the. What's that got now? That's the one with the What does she do again? She's got the fluorescent the VFD output meters on her, so she's tasty. That I don't know if they've any value these days though. I'll be interested in getting rid of it. Bro, Madam asks, is anyone going to bother using their broadcast? I would like to think they would. As I discussed here the other night, everyone needs to tell. How do I put this? Everyone should run a small AM transmitter with a little bit of power, and then we'll all have something to listen to. Maybe a new hobby could be DXing everyone else's little AM transmitters. Seems odd, but why restore them if they can only sit on a shelf? That's very nearly a bungalow, says White Sapphire. Very nearly, yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I often wondered about people restoring radios, and because I've done it myself. I've loads of radios that I've got going on it. And then, the radio hobby is a bit interesting, actually. Let's have a chat about that for a minute, and some of the opinions of people on forums. Some people are very snobby when it comes to radio restoration, and others are downright dangerous. What are your views on this? Well, man, I'm asked, any recommendation for a low power? To buy one, I suppose. I mean, a lot of people talk about the Spitfire. Seems to be one that is quite popular, but there are a few different ones for sale on eBay. But yeah, the Spitfire seems to be a popular one. That's interesting, Richie. Yeah. Good man, Richard. You've plenty of gear, so. Um, Seems very spacious, massive fan till you start filling it up with shit. But yes, no, I'm very lucky to have what I have. Yeah, I'm not endorsing the Spitfire now, but I've heard good things about them. I haven't had one or used one, so I don't know. But I know a couple of people who have them, and they seem happy enough. One thing I would say, though, and they have reported to me, is that they need a very good RF earth, otherwise you will get mains home. So that's something to be aware of. So if you can put it, near the wall, out an exterior wall, and run a wire outside to a good RF ground, that would be advantageous. I like Kev B's approach. Other people have different approaches. The idea of restuffing capacitors isn't something that appeals to me, I must say. Audio Al says, when it comes to vintage radios, I don't like Bluetooth mods. Neither do I. I agree with you on that. They can be done tastefully. I've never Bluetooth monitor radio, except for this one up here. You hear the little Bluetooth in it. And I wired an on-off switch through the FM mute function. But that's just a workshop stereo that's missing half its buttons. So we're not too pushed about that. But no, it's not something I'm into. I mean, what you could do, my approach to that would be, instead of Bluetoothing the radio, why don't you build a small AM transmitter and put a Bluetooth function into it, so you can wirelessly connect through your AM transmitter to as many radios as you like. And that may make more sense. A lot of people, they build their own transmitters and stuff, alright. Blanket component swapping introduces new faults. Plus, if the components have been working for X amount of years, why change them? Exactly. Yeah, it didn't come with Bluetooth from the factory. No, it didn't. I don't see what the problem is with that. Make a small transmitter, or if you go out and buy a Spitfire or whatever, then hook a Bluetooth receiver into it. Bluetooth receivers are dirt cheap. I have a few here that I bought with that extension. I don't really have, but they're there somewhere. Here. No, don't know. They were in there. Anyway, they're small, they're dirt cheap. I bought 5 for like €2 or something off AliExpress. And you can stick one of them into a little transmitter. The Quest AM transmitter comes with a Bluetooth option. Well, there you go. So there, you can buy it off the shelf. I don't see the idea. I don't see the point in modifying radios like that. You know, why bother? And then when people get so upset about, like, you know, a component originality and restuffing capacitors and all that, you know, and I can understand it in some limited circumstances, but I think a lot of the time, wouldn't you be just better off if you feel that strongly about the originality of the radio, just put it on a shelf and leave it alone, right? Why go near it at all? Because you've still interfered with it anyway. So, you know, I don't know. It's an odd one. It's a hard one to answer, but it's like any of these things, you know. Everyone has an opinion, much the same way as everyone has a mouth or ears or an arsehole. And there's very little restoring I do, and I wasn't restoring, was never part of the thing. Getting something to work was, so you do the minimum amount of work that the thing can work safely, and that's just about it. And that's the way I work here with most of the stuff, TVs and all, whatever comes in. Once it's working right, that's about where we pull the plug. And if we went looking for more problems, we probably would find them, but what's the point? It's certainly not how it was done in the days of the service repair industry, where the idea was to get as many TVs on and off the bench in a day as possible. And once they worked, that was it. And that's sort of, I suppose, that mindset is in me. We never got too involved. I was always told, don't go looking for problems that aren't there, because you could end up in trouble. And once or twice I did, and I did, you know, and you start, you know, TV comes in for, you know, X fault, you know, main switch faulty, or somehow bullshit, or a hum on sound. So you sort that, and then you go, oh, the convergence looks a bit out, and you start pecking about with that, and then, you know, just fix the fault to come in with, and leave it at that. The talcum powder trick worked on Kevy B's radio. I went back and now I've got a tape deck to sort out. The old talcum powder trick. Great stuff. I wonder does anyone know what I was talking about. A lot of caps, they go out of tolerance. It also proves in audio amps of the radios with caps out of spec are open. Talcum powder. So Kevy B had a fault with a radio where the dial card was slipping, even though the spring was tensioned and all correctly. So one of the old tricks was to coat the dial card with talcum powder, and it would grip. And Kevy B has found this to be the case. Yeah, they don't teach you that in the old radio books, do they? Even works on Philips dial cards. Whoever the engineer was in charge of making up dial cards at Philips must have been on the wacky backy, because special cases. When you look at how simple they can be, Bush, a prime example, and then you look at what Philips knocked out, unbelievable. The old days of taking visual 100 old tellies to the skip and hearing that lovely noise in the steer, oh well, as we threw them in. Bit of action on the 40-meter band.
Good evening, Sarah. I'll get a little bit of Chicago on for you shortly, but first, hello, Fran, my friend. Fran says, hi, Ree and all Recycles. I love that you all say hello to each other. It's very sophisticated. My suggestion, Robinson Stone's cover is done sometimes when we touch. Say no more.
Don't mind me, and us tuning into the Dutch Pirates at the top of the medium wave band. I get a bit of crack out of them. You see, now we should take inspiration from our Dutch friends. I'm restoring an 87 tape recorder and the belts went into oil. I made a video on it. Did you manage to get replacement belts? AliExpress do a little bag of belts for a couple of euro, which is well worth picking up, even if you only pick up 1 or 2 belts out of the bag. Yeah, I remember doing a Pi radio once, one of the big internationals, and that was a bit of a bastard, alright. There's a nice Sony Music Centre and Marketplace. Multiple faucets could be easily fixed, but sounds like the dial card has snapped, so giving it a miss. You're dead right. Yeah, I know that feeling, bro, madam. I think anyone who's done anything with radios will know that feeling. I'm going out, but I shall return. I'm going to leave with the musical stylings of Dutch Pirate Radio on 1620 kilohertz. At least it's not China FM. And I must say, I'm partial to the old bit of Chinese traditional Mandarin music. Cowbells and beer cans. Well, beer cans. Tommy Hanlon's in the chat. Good evening, Tommy. So. Anyway, the point being, we need to take some inspiration from our German or our Dutch friends with regard to keeping the medium wave band alive on AM radio in general. Honest to God, remember that, bro, madam? I got a copyright strike on the traditional Chinese music. That's right. Whether there is or isn't white sapphire, we need to take a leaf out of their book, because they are keeping the thing alive in Holland for themselves. We should be doing the same. Think of the fun we'd have if we all had little medium wave transmitters. You know, they could do, like, I don't know, say between 20 and 100 watts. And we were somewhere up at the top end of the medium wave band, 1575 or something. And say I play a few songs, White Sapphire, and then you play a few songs to me from Yorkshire. And then Chipmunk gets on and plays a few songs. And whatever. Chipmunk's having problems there at home, and we our thoughts go to you, Chipmunk, because a few of us have been there in the past, and it's not a simple thing to deal with. So, yeah, it's not simple. Chipmunk never plays songs, no. Cinnamon says, "Hey there, I've been looking into my family tree." Yes. related to the McCarthy family of Ireland. Very good, sir. And what part of the world are you from? Sometimes they are even legal stations. Sometimes, sometimes. But the point being, there are answers to our problems. Depends how much we're interested in it. But you can see the idea of, playing music. And sometimes you listen to these Dutch pirates up at the top end of just above medium wave. And sometimes they're playing music to one another, which is quite interesting. So Hans will play a song or two, and then Jan will come back and play a couple of songs or whatever. It's quite interesting. And they give one another reception reports. The world is our oyster. There's loads of shit we could do. She was fighting with the TV remote control. Well, I can remember my grandmother, God bless her, and she never mastered the idea of remote control or how it worked. And I can remember one day, I think I retuned the set and I moved some of the channels around. And she was standing there with the remote control like this, pressing one, and she was shouting at it, one, RTA one, you bastard. Oh, strange, these poor people, yeah. David Rose says on AM still has potential. Oh yeah, absolutely, yes. Yeah, and of course, some of the stations years ago, I believe the BBC had a double wide channel on medium wave. As in, instead of 9 kilohertz, they had 18. I think it was more than that back then, probably 25 kilohertz wide or whatever. And there are some people, I think, in the States messing around with wide AM now. Hi-Fi AM, and of course there's stereo AM as well. The AM broadcast band has no commercial value to anyone at the moment, nor does long wave. So the authorities aren't going to issue licenses or whatever. Not because of anything against the idea. It's just because they won't want to have the extra workload. So I think for that matter, it's quite like coming across a ship at sea that's been abandoned. Yeah, I've boiled belts in the past, but it's a long time since I have. It does work, well, to a point. It'll freshen up the rubber. I've done it with odd O-rings and that as well, when I've been stuck. UK would issue, yeah, well, so would the BAI. But when we talk about money, they don't mean like I want a 1 watt transmitting license here in my garden. Oh yeah, that'll be £50, Mr. Odge. Now the BAI would probably go, okay, well that's a great idea. We're going to look into that. Okay, you looked into that, and that'll be €27,000 per month, please. So fuck 'em. The fine wouldn't be that. Got a Sony Blu-ray for £3 at the car boot last weekend. It works fine. Replacement remote cost £5 on eBay. Nice one, Kev. Yeah, something like that. Well, I know someone who had a temporary license here in Ireland. I think it can be somewhere between 14 and 28,000, and that's for 6 weeks. There's a temporary FM station that sets up every year called Christmas FM. All the proceeds for the advertising goes to charity. I think it goes to Children's Hospital, and that's the sort of money that they're charged for the privilege. So, you know, it's not nice. It's not nice. Especially when you buy a cheap FM transmitter off AliExpress, say a 100-watt one, go up into the Dublin Mountains, and you probably nearly have the same coverage, you know, for nothing. Someone ringing me there while I'm on live, which is interesting. Will I answer it? Hello? How's it going?
Hello?
How are you?
I'm alright, and yourself?
I'm not too bad, welcome.
You're not in bed?
I'm not in bed now.
No. Come here, how many fences have you for sale?
Oh, fences. Sorry, hold on for a second. Just give me a minute there. I have to take this. Now we're back. Phone calls on business. Now, let's say I missed all that. You would have to press them in till they don't come back out. I like that. They could buy a few old farts, and for that money, they could. Jehovah's Witnesses do a temporary effort station license. Yeah, I wonder how much that costs. Admission as Jehovah's Witnesses in the family, it's like COVID, but more harmful. Yeah, we won't stray down that road too far. However, I do know a gentleman whose both his parents were Jehovah's Witnesses, and life wasn't wonderful for them. Although he is a devout Christian, the JW end of it, I think it didn't work out for him anyway. But we won't go down that road. You know the rules here, lads. But yeah, we all know the crack. He's a fence, alright, like Breaking Bad. No. I've a few fence panels for sale, actually. Anyway, having the crack, alright. Jesus, lads, what the fuck is this? We didn't take our fence. No, we didn't, man. What kind of fence? The palisade fencing. The one with the spiky ends on it. What's the, oh Jesus, don't. Kevy B. That's certainly a cardinal sin we're breaking. But okay, just this once, because I'm not like a certain vintage radio forum where they ban people for mentioning cars. I think it's fair to say that most people are not impressed with the oil protests. I certainly am. I mean, jumping up on a snooker table and throwing a load of orange powder around doesn't really do anything for the environment, does it? What's this powder made out of, just as a matter of interest? Is it environmentally friendly powder? We don't know. Chipmunk, how do you confuse them? Invite them in. Invite them in, yeah. That's when it comes to get rid of them, is the problem. Yes. I like the one where they surrounded the cooking oil truck thinking it was a crude oil truck. It's all very strange business. We'll not get into it here. 23 watching with 36 likes, which means a lot of people have come and a lot of people have went. Interesting. You know, I am thinking some evening I'm going to come out here at like 4 o'clock in the morning and put a live stream up just to see if anyone's around. He was in a Tesla. Underscore to be having a bit of the 5 a.m. live stream. Oh dear. No chances, White Sapphire. She'd be in her bed, hooked up. You never know. Everyone, 70 climate change is just another scam to con people with more taxes. Quite possibly. Quite possibly. I don't like this line of conversation though. It's starting to verge into the realms of politics, which we avoid here at all costs. Because the problem with politics is none of us are going to agree. My personal opinion on this, before I pull the plug on that, is maybe it's not right. Climate change is happening. Whether we're responsible or not is debatable to a point. There is not much we can do about it except prepare for the future. So, don't build housing estates next to rivers and seasides and floodplains. And, maybe build houses underground where, it's easier to control temperature and stuff like that. And there's all sorts of shit we could do. However, we'll leave it there for now. We'll come back to talking about other shit again. Like, who's going to keep the AM radios on the air? Yes. It's all very interesting to see where the world will end up. We're talking about overpopulation, but we could end up underpopulated in 100 years. It takes one generation. Politicians just sort of, leech off the rest of us. We're going to stop all that. If it wasn't illegal, I'd run a TX. Run it anyway. Martin Cochran says, I wake up at 4 a.m. still trying to repair my Pi T05. PL502 glowing red. No need for heating in the winter. I like that, Chipmunk. Oh, that sounds like a nice radio room, Adam. Definitely. I had one of those, or similar to it, through a couple of years ago. And it was a very fine radio indeed. I think it had a PX4 output. Might not have been the same set as yours, but definitely similar. Very, very nice receiver. That's the little, has a little wheel, coloured segments to go around. That's very nice, yeah. No PX4, but love the Teddy Flick. Yeah, no, very nice. Wonderful receiver. Did anyone else? There's fake girls. If it wasn't so late, I'd go and check the CD and receiver I got today. They will be for sale once checked. Good man, Kev. Kev buys and sells a bit of hi-fi stuff. Is there any interest in hi-fi stuff this weather? and where to sell it. The problem is since Ireland and the UK have done Brexit, I don't know, but I don't think it's as easy to sell into the UK. It certainly isn't as easy to buy from the UK as it once was. And an awful lot of eBay sellers in the UK won't sell into Ireland, which isn't great for us. So it's hard to know because I have a bit of hi-fi stuff that I know is worth a few quid, which I'd like to move on, but it's where to move it. Brexit promised a lot and delivered a little, I would say, but then we're getting political again. It would be an ecumenical matter indeed. Well, you were watching Father Ted. You know what I found actually, and I don't know how significant it is or not, but I found recently a couple of VHS tapes that someone had recorded Father Ted off Channel 4 for the first time. Some of them complete with ads, and it makes for fascinating viewing to see what was going on in '97, and just listening to the continuity and everything. And knowing that I watched that the first time live, really interesting. So myself, Mrs. Odgenodge is a massive Father Ted fan, so told her I've got a special surprise for you, and push the tape into the player and put it on. Vintage ads are great, and I've actually I know there's a couple of people in Ireland. Bit of a breeze kicking up outside. There's a couple of people in Ireland who actually collect vintage tapes just for pre-recorded tapes, just for the ads to put them on YouTube. So I usually pass them on to those people. Where's Rowney not been on the last few streams? No, he hasn't, Kev. I don't know where he is. Must try and send him a message and see where he is. Hope he's all right. Anyway, VHS did record teletext. I believe all VHS recorded teletext. Rob is here. Good evening, Rob. Audio Wild says Carnaby Street on Manx Radio on Saturday. Great for the 60s vintage radio ads. Yeah, it's sad to hear that Manx Radio are also looking at pulling the plug on their AM transmitter. Not for shame. It'd be great if someone could convince them otherwise, or even if they, reduced power or did something. I think they're 25 kilowatt at the minute. If they went down, if they even went down to say 1 kilowatt, and asked for a whip around for solar panels or something. I mean, it could be viable. It'd be very sad to lose Manx Radio off medium wave. They were the first commercial broadcaster on medium wave, and they've been there non-stop. So Manx Radio would be a massive loss. And their broadcasting is excellent. That is very odd, Brum Adam. You should go out with a transistor radio and see where you can pick it up. I mean, it steams in here. I mean, it's rockets in. Here we are, 1690, 1368. That's the jazz program. They have a jazz program every now and again on it. It's the sort of thing that would sound quite nicely coming out of vintage radio.
Is the street where the elite always meet down in New Orleans, the land of dreams.
Yeah, excellent programming from Manx Radio. Can't praise Manx Radio enough. I think the big broadcasters could learn a lot from the production skills and quality from Manx Radio. Very rare to hear the continuity error on Manx Radio. Their continuity announcements are good. Their advertisement is very good. The standard of their presenters is very good. They're very, very good radio station for a radio station that serves such a small population. I mean, they're top notch. RTE could learn an awful lot off them anyway. I listen to quite a lot of Lyric, RTE Lyric FM, which would be our equivalent of BBC Radio 3. And the amount of continuity errors and say the time for the news coming in a minute early and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know who's working in the production side of RTE now, but it's brutal. It's like something a 17-year-old, like sixth form play production kind of quality stuff. It's just brutal. Manx Radio is just head and shoulders above the rest. It's proper old school. People who care what they're doing. An AI is working. I don't know if an AI is working or just where they would have had some qualified broadcast engineer, sound engineer, broadcast engineer in the studio with them doing the continuity and pushing the buttons. They probably have some clown. That's what it sounds like. Rob inquires, hi, do you repair vintage TV radios? As a job, is there many people that want repairing now? I don't take in repairs personally. Well, very rarely. It's not something I'm interested in. RT radio production is brutal. For example, I was listening to Morning Ireland News there one morning, and they had one of their what would you call it, reporters out and about, and she'd done a 3-minute segment on something that was going on in the courts, and it sounded like she was talking into a can like this. We're here today at the forecourts on Jenny. Brutal. You couldn't actually hear what she said, and it went on for 3 minutes. So there obviously isn't a sound engineer with a pair of earphones on listening to the quality monitoring what's going out. Really bad. And then they're saying, pay your TV license. We need more money, Fucking arseholes. No, when it's unlistenable too. No. I mean, near FM, which stands for Northeast Access Radio, which is a low power FM station in North Dublin. Gives the local heads a job or whatever. Their production quality is fucking head and shoulders above RTA. Bit sad for the national broadcaster.
Man in black, you mysterious soul, you. Can you please play if you have the time? Everyone's being very considerate of time tonight. I very much appreciate it. Thank you. I've got plenty of time, actually. Can you please play I Was Only Joking by Rods? Of course. I don't know that song. So I will find it and get it on for you.
Listen to her. That's a lady who can talk on the radio. Excellent. They probably don't have the budget after all the flip-flops. Video reinserter. Right, I'll be back in a minute. I'll get another can. And then we'll wrap it up after that. Hang in there, kids. Back in action. It was a shame about Maplin. In the 90s, their paper catalogue had loads of great gear in it. Ooh, that rings a bell, alright, Chipmunk. Indeed, audio Al. The only thing is, I think the online business is catering for all this now, and that's Maplin couldn't keep up. They priced themselves out of the market. Then they forgot who their market and target audience were, and they started trying to turn into like a shit version of DID, selling TVs and stuff, and but overpriced, and so it was doomed. I bought out of Maplin's shop in Liffey Street. I bought a lot of their Treston drawers. I went in, I wouldn't say I bought a lot, but I bought quite an amount of them, full of components. Here's one here. I think I bought 28 of these with various stuff in them. This one has cans in it. It didn't come with the cans in it though, mind you. But yeah. So went in one evening with the van, loaded up out of Maplin, and then the following week it was closed down. It was sad. I was fond of Maplin myself. It was handy. I used to buy the out cans of service all and stuff in them. And it was a sad day when they closed down. One of the things I found with the stock levels, which Kev B has just wrote up, was at some stage the bean counters in Maplin decided that every shop should only have 2 of each item in stock. Which sounds great if, say, it's, for example, 2 multimeters or 2 video senders or something like that. But when it's 2 16-volt, 2200 microfarad capacitors, you start to run into a problem. And you even see some of these drawers had 2 100 ohm quarter watt resistors and stuff like that. And it was absurd, some of the stuff that was in the drawers. And there was other stuff that there was hundreds of that they obviously never sold. For example, and this is actually one of the drawers I haven't messed around with too much. I took components out of these and sold some of these drawers on to try and remake some of my losses. And I would estimate that I broke even in the end, just out of the caps and that are in them that I will use in the future. But it wasn't really a great investment either. See this giant LED? I think it's got 6 pins in the back, so I think it's 6 LEDs in one, lens package. There was 300 of these, thereabouts. I'd be surprised if you ever saw one of those. Never seen one of them before or since. Interesting little LED. There's some weird shit in those drawers. I think the best one though was there was 2 BSR pickups with new styluses on them, and so I think I recouped some of my proceeds out of those. Did those bean counters move on to screw fix and tool station? It's quite possible. But they say money held in stock is money wasted and all this kind of bullshit. But they don't understand how industry works. So sad. Some weird stuff in some of these drawers, but those LEDs I thought were interesting. Nice green illuminator rocker switch, which is waterproof to a point. But the odd thing is, it's a 24 volt. So, I don't know. Some weird stuff. I'd say there's a lot of stuff they never ever sold. Super caps. 2.7 volt, 50 farads. Oh yeah, that's one of the BSR SE12M. Probably worth buying it for that. I think they go for about 60 quid on eBay now. 40, 60 quid, something like that. So few oilets. Far too many tantalum capacitors. What value are these? I'll probably throw these out. 1 microfarad at 35 volts. Yeah. Those can probably go in the bin. A few of these lads. 8 microfarads. 630 volts. Interesting. For a truck or bus, who knows? Just send it to 30 volts AC, switch will take it. We'll use it for something here, but have plenty of switches. We're not sure for switches anyway. We've got loads of these in various styles and shapes, which is good. We'll use those. Replacement diamond stylus for. Go on, focus you get. Don't know, something or other. Anyway, lots of stuff. Loads of various motor run capacitors as well. Well, to be fair, if you went to buy that off eBay, it'll probably be a $5 or a $10, you know, so. The LCR caps are good, they are good, yeah. Funny enough, Kevy Bay, I did a transport management course years ago, and one of the people on it was a lady who was a manager in Carphone Warehouse, which was weird, because I think they were just about to get taken over by another crowd, and I think she had recommended that she needed the transport management course because they had vans on the road or something, even though she had nothing to do with them. So she was obviously upskilling before she jumped ship. They closed components end of it and opened a school to teach people how to use the TRSA. Ooh. Interesting chipmunk. It was sad to lose Maplin. I believe they are. Someone bought the name Maplin, and if you Google Maplin, a website comes up. But I think they're just selling like cameras and a few bits of shit. I don't know if it's even still going, but it didn't look all that successful or bright. But sure, it's just the way things have gone. Definitely. We've 25 viewing now with 39 thumbs up, so we've had quite a few people in and out tonight. Interesting. Rayburn says they also had a warehouse service centre in R10. I left just as the manufacturers are letting us do less and less repairs. Nokia cut right back to the point of no soldering on boards. Oh dear. That's not good. 41 thumbs up now all of a sudden. Interesting. Yeah, the Maplin's, I used to love going in there for a walk on my break. Every day, if I had time, I went into Maplin's just for a walk around in it. Used to love going in there. And I was so sad to see it closing. I remember the last day I went in, and they were obviously just finished. And whatever they had sold, and they pulled the cash registers, and all the shelves, everything was gone out, and everything was put in a pile in the middle of the floor. And anyone that was in there was just told, wherever you want is free. And there was a couple of them sitting in the corner drinking a couple of bottles of beer, because obviously they were out with job once to pull the shutters down. And they were sitting in the corner drinking a couple of bottles of beer. And there was a few ages. Now, there was nothing in the pile of any use, a few IC leads and, bullshit that no one had want. But it was an interesting day watching that happen, and the place closing down, And quite sad indeed. Good figures for an impromptu stream. Yes, indeed. Very good. We shall do an official stream either Saturday or Sunday, to be announced, we will say. And then I need to clear off this bench and actually make a video. I've got a Sony 1320 I need to bring in here for a bit of an look over for the start. Windows 95 has returned. Chipmunk has asked, is it inappropriate to hug white sapphire? I don't know, but I'm sure she will tell you. I'm sure she wouldn't mind. But we'll leave that for her to decide. They're long gone now, Chip, but Cricketwood are still on the go. Cricketwood are still on the go. Signing out with some names you might remember: Vision Hire, British Relay, DER, Multi Broadcast Radio Rentals, and Granada. All TV rentals from the good old days. Indeed, Martin, and good night to you, sir. DER, I actually have a television of a TX9 Mark DER here. We had a 20-inch Vision Hire TX9 at one stage as well, but it has gone. We bought all the racking and storage from the Wigan branch, plus some components, etc. Heavy big, so I wasn't the only one who raided the Maplins. Richard was with DER in the early days. That phone interfering with Manx Radio.
On stage, yes, here in Lily Allen with.
Red Diffusion, I worked there in the late 70s. That was a television sent down the twisted pair, which I believe had very bad resolution. Who was the TV repair shop in Harrington Street, Dublin? Before my time, probably Tommy. Or the cable company. No harm. I'm sure the cats won't mind. Colour says hired from Radio Rentals when I came over to the UK in the 80s. Oh, man, colorist. Did you give it back? Who went to Extravision back in the day? The last place I know of that actually had the Extravision signage still up was one of their shops in Skerries. And it just got converted into a house there in the last year. The Extravision sign was still over the window. And Extravision, for those in the UK might not be aware, was a VHS rental company here in Ireland who vanished, I suppose, in the late 90s, late 90s they vanished. They went into internet cafe thing and then disappeared. It's quite interesting. I remember going over to the UK in 2009 and I had to book my flight. I didn't know how to use a computer, so I had to find a computer boffin, and I found one. I remember myself, my mate, and this computer boffin, who was his cousin, went down to the Extravision to use the computer to book the flights. I had my bank card there and all. It was all very, and he printed out the tickets. There you go. Going to London. Unbelievable. Now I just pick up the phone, push a couple of buttons, see you in London in the morning. But the world was a different place. The world was definitely a different place. There's only one way to find out, Chipmunk. Get your chainsaw out. Why would I want to go there? I wanted to see the Science Museum for a start. Back when it still had interesting things in it. Good night, Mr. Brackley. Take care. I'll be in touch with you soon. I had meant to ring you back and I did not. So we will have discussions in the near future. Can you hear me now? Cheap little Aldi batteries again. Well, actually, they were cheap Poundland batteries. They were zinc carbons. So zinc carbons don't last too long in that. Obviously, it might draw a bit of current. Probably a bit too much. It's a pity they don't have like a rechargeable pack in that. Anyway. It's now heading on for 10 to 12. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just buy rechargeable NiCads. But I don't know how it'll run on the 2.4. Though it does seem to run them right down to 1.9. And then if I recharge them every night and they're fresh, she'd be okay. Jeff B says the pound shop zinc carbons are shite. Oh no, that's not good news at all. But there is a lot of them for a lot of cheap. So much so that my answer to the price of D cells was to order some AA2 D cell converters that take 3 AA cells for a day. So I think that might be the way forward. Let's buy a load of those cheap pound shop batteries. Feed it an 18650. Well, I don't really want to. I'll be honest with you. This wireless microphone was donated by a viewer, and I know it wasn't cheap. In fact, the gentleman spent far too much. So I don't really want to fuck around with it too much. I think I'm sort of 150, 200 quid's worth of gear, and I don't want to fuck about with it. So I might just get rechargeables for it. Might be the easiest way of doing it, because it seems to be a bit hard on batteries. Looking about 20 hours life off an AA. Massey Fan is away. Good night, Massey Fan. And remember, if it's red, if it's not red, leave her in the shed or some shit like that. The Chipmunk says modern AAs have a capacity early D cells could dream of. Yeah, indeed they have. Indeed they have. I think Audiowal is away to bed too. Good night, Audiowal. Sorry, I didn't miss that. What about lithium AAs? Pricey, but they will last. I wonder how much they would last longer compared to alkalines. That'd be interesting to know. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know that. How life would compare. Somebody is absolutely loving that heart button. Good night, all. I need my beauty sleep. Bro, madam was clocking out too. Yeah, I think we're heading towards the night time. Indeed, it is. It was 5 to 12 or thereabouts. So we're rolling up to it, all right. There's something interesting I want to ask you, right? I'm gonna go out here and look at something. The few years that are left, right? Recently, I got something that you just don't see anymore. And I remember years ago, you couldn't get them here, but you could still get them in the UK. And when I went over to visit my father, he always insisted that you go into the local newsagents and buy me a box or two because they were so much fun. What am I talking about? Well, I'm not talking about fireworks. Who remembers redhead matches? I got boxes and boxes of them the other day, right? So, for those of you who don't know, red-headed matches obviously would strike off anything. Now, I think these ones are a little bit damp because they're a bit reluctant to strike. Although they will, if persuaded. Swan Vestas. These ones aren't Swan Vestas. There was a company in Ireland called Patterson and Maguire. And they call them the Friendly Match. And I've got a couple of boxes here. One time we used to collect matchboxes. I know. Yes. There's a very old matchbox. Marked 1.5 pence. So we're going enough. If I block my face, it will focus on the matchbox instead, I think. Because the camera wants to focus on my face all the time. Anyway, whatever. And this is a slightly later one. And then what they used to do was they would put photographs of the local newsagent who was selling the matches on the back. And this one, bastard, my focus. No, we won't. Anyway, it says Curran's newsagent, 328 Clontarf Road, Dollymount. Right. So, red-headed matches. So, the EU banned them. Did they ban them? That's fun. Old school. That smell is just wonderful. Because then as kids, we used to chew the matches. Yeah. Sucking the part of it now with them. They were great days. Colour says when you used to smoke. Oh yeah, no, I was always into pyromania. See, yeah, no, I must admit, definitely. Of course, the cool thing was you could strike them off anything. Unlike the matches they brought out later with the brown heads, that you could only strike off the box. Because you'll strike them off a wall or any hard surface. And buses and trains at one time used to have match strikers on them, which were brass, rough brass plates that you could strike off to stop people striking off other shit and making marks. You know. I don't know, Tommy, because it's a fine site. They'll put some amount of flats on it. Nice one, Chipmunk. You can strike a safety match on glass. Or you can't. I don't know. Not that I was aware of. I think you could strike anything off glass, it'd be too smooth, wouldn't it? Anyway, it's quite rare to get a box of these things, never mind one or a bag full of boxes of them. And there's a load of them loose in the bag as well. So how much do genuine redhead original sulphur matches go for these days? How many have we got left? We got 19 left. 43 likes. That was great going tonight. And a couple of donations towards the channel as well, which are greatly appreciated. So we're doing okay. Am I still modulating? I am. I've one new battery and one battery I found on the floor, so we have to be careful. I think we'll probably see the night out though. One can left, which we're going to have, and then we're going into bed. I remember seeing matches with blue heads in them in the UK, alright, but I don't remember what they were like for striking or not. But certainly, I was delighted with them. I remember years ago, Swan Vestas in the UK used to always ask me father to win. Get a packet up, make sure they're redhead matches there, and I'll bring them home. Of course, no one ever seen them here. I hadn't seen them in years, and he'd be striking them off. So look at this. Tommy Hanlon inquires, is it safer to leave a bag of non-safety matches in your shed than a lithium? They're the safest houses compared to anything with lithium in them. Even me mobile phone. Colorist has after thrown me £5. That's very generous. Thank you very much, sir. And I'm glad you're enjoying the chat tonight. That's extremely kind of you. Thank you very much. I love that. That's so kind. Thanks so much. Is it safer? No, the lithium stuff. I had a lithium power pack out of what you call it? E-scooter, 36-volt pack, full of 18 650s. And I think I dumped it because I was afraid it was going to burn down the shed. The matches would be fucking sound. Now, let's see. Rob has inquired, will I tune to 7196 lower sideband? I can't think of any reason not to. 7196, which is the amateur radio band. Is that what you're hearing? Yeah. Lithium polymer is a fire hazard. It sure is, and you know what else is a fire hazard? All these bloody e-cigarettes. Unbelievable. The amount of them I find in the bin and work, just throwing in. And I took one of them out one day. The new one is, I don't know if anyone, maybe some people smoke e-cigarettes here. There's a new one called a Proud Mary. Or no, sorry, that's wrong. I'm thinking of CCR. A Lost Mary, right? A Lost Mary. It's this little round, it's about, it looks like an old Zippo lighter, that kind of size, with a spout on it for sucking on. And all that's in it, there's no circuitry in it at all. It's Lost Mary. It's so simple. All it has is a pressure sensor with an LED on it, a battery, and a little doofer that goes into the wick shit, right? You know, with a heating element in it, right? And when you suck on it, it senses the lower pressure, pulls the switch in and suck it in and whatever, right? And there's a 600 milliamp rechargeable lithium ion battery in it, right? So I picked one of these up off the ground there last week, and I was demonstrating to someone how dangerous they are. So I opened it up. They're the Lost Marys, they're real easy to open up. They're not even glued together. They're just pushed in. Opened it up, pulled the battery out, pulled the stuff out, threw that away. And I shorted the battery out. And because the little wire glue red hot and melted into nothing in no time. I was like, imagine having that in your car or your bedroom or something and that going wrong. So there's so much current left in them even when they're flat. And these things are thrown all over the place. It's amazing that more bin trucks and stuff don't go on fire. There's your man is still calling Rob. Sounds like he's talking to a Northern Ireland fella there. And there's lots of fires in bin lorries. They discharge to about 40%. Is that just on average when the doofer stuff in them runs out and there's still that much left? It certainly is very warm. I have the door of the shed open here and it's still 24.5 degrees in here. I think it's about 19 outside. But yeah, it's warm, alright. The Dutch pirates have all gone to bed. Turn them off for a minute. Whereabouts in Ireland are you located, Rob? We've got a phone and work with an expanded battery. Need to dispose of it somehow. Maybe our local recycling centre will take it. Ours does. You're a mate. Very well, sir. Chipmunk says the chip is designed. Yeah, there's the little dude. It looks like an electric microphone with 3 wires off it. Is that correct? I didn't realise there was more circuitry in there. No, I just thought there was like a reed switch inside what looks like the electric microphone. Richie Hoyt is a match man like myself. Of course, as a child, I can remember going through my parents' or my mother's record collection that she had left at home with my grandmother, and finding a certain status quo album with a lot of matches on the front of it. I think that might have started my interest. Oh, really? So there's a lot more going on in it than I thought. I thought this was just a very simple, just a reed switch in there. Obviously not. There's obviously a bit more magic going on there. This is best time of night for listening to shortwave. It certainly is on the lower bands, but in the daytime, the higher bands are good. So now you should hear lots of signals on 80 meters and 40 meters, but in the daytime, you will hear signals on 20 meters and 18 meters, 15 meters, and 10 if you're really lucky. So shortwave, the lower shortwave bands and medium wave, yes, but shortwave in general, it depends what you want to listen to. Like obviously at night time you'll hear a lot more stations on medium wave than you will in the day because of skywave. There's Radio Gold on 1458. It's only be so sad when they turn off the last of them transmitters. Why do radio people use meters? It's a measurement of wavelength. They've always used meters, as far as I know. Even going back to the very early days, they never like used yards or whatever as an expression of. But I suppose meters. It was meters. I think going back to the early days, like old valve radios, it's meters on for wavelength. Then they changed over to the frequency instead of the wavelength. But for talking about shortwave or that, they stuck with meters. I don't know. It's a hard question, Chipmunk. Good night, Kevy Bay, and thanks again for your voltage reference. I keep thanking you for that. It's very handy. I'll be knocking off soon myself too in the next while. It's great to be able to still listen to gold on medium wave. I'm getting radio station on long wave 252. Indeed, you will be, Rob. That is Radio Algeria on 252, which is a massive signal. They're at S9 here at the minute. So they were always there in behind RTA. It's only now the RTA are gone that we can hear them. Really big signal here tonight. I believe Radio Algeria have a 2 megawatt transmitter. So it does goes to show how far you can go with a bit of power. Perfectly acceptable signal here. This one's from North Africa. And our troglodytes decided the best thing they could do with our long wave transmitter was to blow it up. The mind boggles. It's Poland on 224.
Look forward to meeting at the earliest opportunity. But the visit has been criticised by groups who say the UK should not be welcoming a man with such a poor human rights record. Our security correspondent Frank Gardner reports. This, if it goes ahead, will be a highly controversial visit. The Saudi Crown Prince, still only in his late 30s, is credited with transforming Saudi society for the better. He scrapped the ban on women driving and he fought back public entertainment, long banned by the religious current. He's also invested Saudi Arabia's massive oil wealth in diversifying the
252 is Radio Victory. I wasn't aware of that. I always thought it was Radio Algeria. Or one of those. Where's Radio Victory come from? Wherever it's come from, it sounds better than Radio 4.
inside the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in 2018. The prince tonight. Of Amnesty.
And I would be very worried by an invitation for a visit.
I've also got Iceland coming in here on 189. Just about S2. I was wondering what you were talking about, Chipmunk. You're trying to confuse John Joe. But that's Iceland. They also have 207, but I can't hear that. It's nice to be getting Iceland, though. Good night, Ian Deacon, and I hope you get more power for tomorrow. We've 162 with the Luxembourg effect. And I think it's Romania on 153. So there's still a little bit on the long wave, but not as much as there should be. Irvine 70 is away as well. Good night to you too, sir. We're dying of death here, and when I finish this, I'm going to die of death too. Listen, Gren says, I secretly don't miss RT Longwave as I can hear it in Dublin on FM. Loving the new 252. Sad for the people in the UK though. I think by that chipmunk he's referring to expatriates of Ireland living in the UK. Older people who have no other way of picking up information from the motherland, as it were. And you went into a bit of unusual music. Would like to tune into Radio Caroline now, as they're playing. I'll tell you what. Here's a quick quiz for the 17 people that are left viewing. Name the band. Name the band. Oh, you can hear it. If you've good ears, you can hear it. $6.40. You can still hear the music in the static. Alright, it's gone now. No one's gonna get it. I thought someone would have got it, but it was in the court of the kingdom, in the court of the Crimson King, by King Crimson. That's who it was. Radio Caroline's pretty much the only place you never hear a song like that. In the court of the Crimson King. I wonder if there anyone watching the chat who knows who King Crimson is. There's a question. It's still going. It's about 10 minutes long, the song. Can't pick up Radio Caroline at all. Good night, Nissan Greenwich. I will talk to you again soon. Take care. Good man, Rob. I wonder, are you picking her up better than me? That's quite interesting because I don't think you're too far from where I live. And if you're picking it up well, but I'm stuck in Faden, it'd be an interesting experiment with regard to tropospheric. Is Kipure on Tree Rock TV only? Don't know about Kipure, but Tree Rock is mixed. Radio and television. Also on Tree Rock, about a quarter of a mile from the RTE site is the commercial site with all the, your 98 FM, 104, 4 FM, all those. We're off a mast up there as well. They certainly do. That song is still going. I can still hear it. Can you hear it clearer than me, Rob? Because obviously you can hear the audio that I'm receiving here at the minute. That's interesting. Absolutely, yeah. I can pick up Radio Caroline. Not very well at the minute. But Rob seems to be able to pick it up quite well. And Rob's certainly not more than 50 miles away from where I am. That's the end of the song now. I must hear the end of it. Now, it's only because I know the song that I can, No, it's not the end of the song. It's nearly the end of the song. What are the other tracks on that album, John Joe? Oh, Jesus, don't ask me, Ray. I don't have the album. I just know the King Crimson album is the one where, in the Court of the Crimson King, I can't remember any of the rest of them. I don't have the album, but I know I have it on a playlist somewhere. All I know about it is it has a mad face on the. Because I just. There's Radio Caroline coming out of noise now. You can still hear that. "21st Century Schizoid Man," of course. Of course, Ray. How could I not remember that one? Christ almighty. It does fade in and out. So obviously the guy is, yeah, of course, 21st century schizoid, man. Of course, that became famous again recently because it was using what was it, a Citroen car ad or some shit like that. 21st century schizoid, man. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Of course, Ozzy. Ray Moore knows his tunes. I like it. I find it interesting how, like, you know, an hour ago I tuned into 648 on Radio Caroline, and it came in 10 over 9. And now we can't hear it in between all the shit. It's interesting, isn't it? How variable the conditions can be and how good they can be at times. Someone absolutely loves King Crimson. Radio 648 is BBC World Service. No, Chipmunk. 648 is long gone, and Radio Caroline have the license for 648 now. It's the most song known by them. Yeah, car. I suppose it will be, yeah. They were a very progressive band, and you know, when you listen to their music now, much like say a lot of Jimi Hendrix's stuff or whatever, it has never dated. You know, it hasn't aged. You know, you listen to King Crimson, and you know, it could have been recorded 2 years ago, never mind 50 years ago. Excellent band. Radio Algeria coming in stronger than ever on 252.
BBC News, which is read tonight by Chris Aldrich. And now we'll look ahead to the weather forecast for the next 24, 48 hours and beyond. I'm Shafanaka.
Thank you very much. The weather is expected to turn warmer and more humid.
Good night, Radio Border from Waterford, sir.
With these conditions comes the risk of thunderstorms. There'll be a lot of different weather during the course of Friday across the UK. So let's snap to it. For the remainder of the night, cloud cover will be widespread across most of the country. Occasional clear spells are possible, particularly around western Scotland and also the northwest of England. Lows will be around 14 to even 17 degrees Celsius, and it'll be increasingly humid.
It certainly won't now. It's coming up towards the shipping forecast, so I'm going to sign off. I leave you at home to tune in your transistor radios to 198 for the shipping, and they are indeed, Rob, using solar panels to power their transmitter, which is excellent and gives hope towards other AM hopefuls. We're not going for the record tonight. We're pulling the plug. I'm going in. Thank you all for joining me tonight. A very heartfelt thank you to the donators towards tonight's live stream. Any kind of small donation at all does go a long way. A very long way. And I mean that. And it's very much appreciated. And I'm glad everyone had a good time in the chat tonight. I'm glad it gave you a venue to hang out in, and we hope to catch you in the next one very soon. Thank you very much, and Vintage Radio, TV and Electronics lovers, I shall see you in the near future. Good night and take care.